Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, welcome to yet again another episode of the Fighters Rep podcast. This is episode 62, Gary, believe it or not. And we're going to be talking today about Jaron Ennis versus Chukhadzhian. Looks like they're running it back, even though I don't believe this is necessary at all, if I'm being honest with you. And plus, we're going to have, a little bit of talk about Oshaquie Foster getting much needed revenge against Robson Conceição. It was a fight, Gary, that, I think we both thought was one of the worst robberies. At least for me, it was one of the worst robberies in the history of boxing. I would argue it was probably top 2, top 3 that I've ever seen. I can't really think of too many worse than that. It was nice to see Oshaquie get that one back. So we're going to be talking about that. So, I guess let's open up with that, right, Gary? Oshaquie Foster, Robson Conceição, it was a rematch. The world was up in arms about this fight. The boxing world was. It looked to me, Gary, like in the first fight, Oshaquie absolutely schooled this guy. I just couldn't. It was hard. I was hard-pressed to find a round for Robson or 2 rounds for Robson in that first fight. This fight was different, in my opinion. I haven't really discussed it with you, but this fight to me was way different. But I wanted your thoughts. What did you think about the rematch and, and the winner and everything else?
Well, I have a few problems, like always.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I really felt like he washed him the first fight pretty easily. If anything, you give what? How do you say his name again?
Conceição.
There's a tongue twister.
Yeah,
Conceição, all right? I really thought he won probably maybe 1 or 2 rounds the first fight.
Yeah.
I could see some people like Oshaquie thought he swept him. Maybe you did. But 1 or 2, it shouldn't even been arguable, and he got ripped off. And now this fight, I see people saying that they thought Oshaquie lost this fight. And
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I didn't see that, but I thought it was close. I actually thought it was close, which was a surprise to me, So
I thought it was closer than the last fight, but this is where I have
closer than the last fight.
But this is what I have a problem with.
Yeah.
Is that the last fight, Oshaquie was defensive sound, just picking him. It was a boring fight. Let's not get this twisted. The first fight was a boring fight. He kind of stayed at distance. He picked him apart when he wanted to. Was really defensive. And I thought he washed him that fight. But now boxers are being forced because people are looking at aggression and who throwing more punches, even though they're not effective. They're looking at that so much, you're forcing a boxer to now say, okay, I have to. And it's good and bad with that. It's good for the fans because we get to see more action. We get to see, we get to see a more exciting fight.
Yeah.
But it's bad for the boxers who are pure boxers because you're forcing me to now put myself in a little bit more danger when I can make this fight a lot easier than I fought it. I think Oshaquie even spoke to, he wanted to let his hands go a little bit more. He even said in later rounds, he tried to press to knock the guy out, but he was, Conceição was holding him a lot in the later rounds. But he caught him with a couple shots that stunned Conceição. And, I just felt like he had the cleaner punches. He was blocking a lot of, even if you look at the CompuBox numbers, even though we hate, some people don't want to do that. And like I said, that's not the end all be all, but the numbers in power punches are so far apart that you kind of got to take that into consideration. Because I don't think they're 100% accurate, but they have some accuracy on them. You know what I mean? And so, I felt that he shouldn't have had to fight this fight again.
Yeah.
And always when you fight a guy more than once, obviously he makes adjustments. You make adjustments. And it's going to be a more difficult fight most of the time than the first fight because you kind of got some familiarity. You know what a guy has and what he doesn't, what a guy likes to do. So, and then like I said, he pushed a little bit more, even though Conceição was pushing him like back him in the corner, I think he let his hands go a little bit more and was a little bit less defensive sound just because he knew he had to kind of convince the judges, like, look, I'm doing stuff.
I don't know. I felt like, I mean, what would you have scored it if I'm not sure if you scored it round by round. I doubt you did.
I
But
didn't.
what would you say? I mean, how far apart was it for you?
I mean, like 3 rounds to Oshaquie. I thought he won by like 3 rounds.
You thought he won by 3?
Yeah. They had him what it was 15. It was what 15-13? What was it? I forgot. No, they had him win about 2 rounds. They had him win about 2 rounds at the end.
Yeah.
It was 115 and 113.
I thought that was, to be honest, I thought
that was fair.
Yeah, I thought that was fair. And which is a surprise for me, Gary, because in the first fight, I thought he got washed. I thought Conceição got washed. And so I thought we were going to come back to this fight and get more of the same because I just didn't see anything from Conceição that would be able to handle Oshaquie's, just skills. What he showed me in the second fight, though, is he pressed forward more. And I thought he was landing a lot of big punches in this fight. But I just feel like his technique, even though he's the Olympian, right? I guess he won the gold medal in the Olympics. I just think his technique is way sloppier, in my opinion, than Oshaquie Foster. I mean, I just think the way he throws his punches, it's a lot of arm punches. It's very, I don't know, just very awkward, very, very sloppy. I think the fact that he's awkward allows him to land those punches. But I think Oshaquie is just a superior boxer. That being said, I thought Oshaquie made it a closer fight than what it should have been. I actually didn't think Oshaquie was as active as he should have been. I felt like he should have been throwing more punches. And I think, being so hesitant allowed Conceição to land a lot more punches. I mean, what's interesting to me is, and, you may not agree, but I thought Oshaquie looked a lot better in their first fight, right?
I agree.
I just thought he fought way better. And it's interesting to me, how from day to day, a guy's ability looks different or the way they fight can change. And maybe there was a change made, right? I'm not sure what it was, but maybe there was a change made to try to get the win against Conceição, But whatever change that was made, in my opinion, it was for the worse. I thought he looked much worse in this fight because I thought this fight was close. I thought Oshaquie schooled him in the first fight. Should have just done what he did in the first fight. But, obviously he's scared to get robbed again. And I thought in this fight, whatever he did, he looked worse. He still won. I thought he still won. But I thought it was close, man. Like you're saying, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 rounds ahead. Like some of these rounds were like swing rounds,
Well, let's see. Here's my thing is, early on, Oshaquie was letting him lead the fight and he was pressing Oshaquie and he was but he wasn't landing a lot of. I still don't think he was landing a lot of that clean. Sometimes it was rolled. Right, like you can hear Tim Bradley say one time, "Oh, the first shot caught him, but the other one he rolled with. That didn't really catch him like that."
But Tim Bradley also said, "I'm glad you bring it up."
Yeah.
Defense, but nothing's coming back.
Yeah.
Coming back. So that's what I was seeing with Oshaquie. I felt like he needed to be. You need to make him miss and then make him pay. He was only doing the first part. He was only making him miss. He wasn't making him pay. And so if both guys,
only thing I'll say is,
let me just finish that thought. Though. I mean, if both guys are not doing much, they're going to give it to the guy that's walking forward. Usually, you know what I mean. That's what the judges are going to see. So I was worried it was going to be the same situation as the first fight.
Oh yeah, like what the thing is that I think
I was worried, bro. I was worried. I
think in the second half of the fight, Oshaquie definitely picked it up, let his hands go more, and landed the more cleaner shots in the second half of the fight, and landed shots that hurt Conceição to where he was grabbing in the second half. So I don't know
that I did see.
I don't know if his plan was to wait to the second half to pick up the tempo, because according to him, in the second half, he was trying to get him out of there, but he kept grabbing him. He wanted to get him out of there.
Yeah.
And he did hurt him. I mean, he hurt him like twice, big time twice.
Yeah.
The other times he was just landing good shots, clean, crisp shots that made Conceição grab a little bit. And so I think he kind of, because Conceição is older than him, he's 36. So I think he wanted to wait to the back end to pick up the pace. Or maybe it could have just been his corner telling him, hey, pick up the pace. And so that's the only reason why I felt like the fight was close, because the first half, he was so much slower. He was so much, he wasn't as aggressive. He let Conceição pressure him and be first. But the second half, he started putting it on him. He picked the tempo up, and Conceição wasn't necessarily picking up. He was slowing down.
And that was the other surprise to me, right, was the fact that Oshaquie, it looked to me like he hurt Conceição a couple times, like you said. It looked like he hurt him. And so, I was like, it was like a completely different fight. It's so weird, Gary, how that's why I tell people all the time, man, you might have beat the guy once, right? Especially at FightersRep at the amateur level. Like, I tell people, like, you might have won once, right?
Yeah.
But if you fight again, who knows who shows up? Who knows what happens? Sometimes it's a different outcome, kind of like what we saw with Tyson Fury and Wilder and Manny Pacquiao and Marquez. It's like sometimes it's always a different fight depending on the guy's styles, and you don't know if a guy's injured, if he had a good training camp. So
even if we go to MMA, and we can go to Pereira versus
Pereira and Adesanya.
Yeah. You can only fight a guy so much. He beat Adesanya in kickboxing. He beat him in the UFC because Adesanya was like, oh, this ain't kickboxing.
Yeah.
Came in the UFC, beat him. And then finally Adesanya beats him.
Yeah.
And then Adesanya's like, I'm done.
I think he beat him. I think he might have beat him twice in kickboxing.
Yeah, he did. Twice in kickboxing.
Once in MMA. And then on the fourth time, Adesanya. I think Marquez got Pacquiao the fourth time too.
Yeah.
So four times the charm in combat sports.
I mean, people at this level, you keep fighting each other, and it's like it's funny. I mean, it's not the same thing, but me and my homeboys, we play Madden a lot, and it's like, well, not now. When we were younger, we played it much more. Yeah. And it's after a while I can adapt and I can learn what he likes to do, what he does out of this formation, out of this.
Yeah.
And somebody will go on a 3-4 game winning streak in Madden, and then all of a sudden it flips. And now I'm on a 3 game because I figured out what you're doing, how you're doing. And the same thing in boxing, because it's nothing but a chess match. It's like you playing chess on the board. You play somebody in chess enough. I play somebody in chess. Oh, they like them knights. I'm going to sacrifice my bishop for their knight, take their knight out, because they can't play without the knight.
Yeah.
Kind of like, that's what I felt that was.
I agree. So, I mean, at the end of the day, of course, I'm going for Oshaquie. You know how I roll, Gary. I go for the American every damn time unless they do something absolutely crazy. And I was especially rooting for Oshaquie because I thought that first decision was, again, one of the most disgraceful, if not the most disgraceful decision in the history of combat sports, period, that I've ever seen. So it was a beautiful story of redemption for him, wins his title back. But it's interesting now because he didn't quite look as good as he looked in the first fight. Now, I do think if he could channel that guy back from the first fight and improve on that guy, man, I really think Oshaquie can beat just about anyone, man, if he can channel that guy. But the guy who fought in the last fight, I thought was okay. He wasn't active enough. I feel like you gotta throw punches to win a fight. You know what I mean? And I just.
Well, he did hurt him more than the first fight, because the first fight I never seen. In the first fight, I didn't think Oshaquie hurt him at all.
I agree.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
In this fight, I think he definitely made him weary of his power later on.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's different fights. I mean, now they're saying the winner out of who is it? Ooh, I'm sorry.
Navarrete, there's
Yeah,
Navarrete.
Navarrete. Yeah.
Lamont Roach is there.
No, it's Navarrete is fighting who's Navarrete fight? I can't think of his name right now. Shakur Stevenson fought him.
Take a look.
It's Navarrete and they say he should fight the winner of those.
Who's he fighting next? Who's Navarrete fighting next?
He's fighting him soon.
Well, as we look that up, Gary, maybe you should look it up.
You got a computer? I got my computer right here, man.
So while we look that up, it looks like he's fighting Oscar. Is it Oscar Valdez? Yeah, scheduled
Valdez, yeah.
Oscar Valdez. So, that brings me to, I just want to cut this break real quick, guys. FightersRep 27, it's going down on November 23rd. That's in less than 3 weeks. Get your tickets at FightersRep.com if you haven't already. We've got a fantastic night of fights featuring 3 incredible title fights, including Joshua Caldwell versus Tariq Redstead Wright for the super middleweight title. We've got the co-main event, Andrew Gutierrez versus Stuart Smith. It's going to be an incredible fight. And, of course, the main event, Edgar Fraga representing SoCal and Mexico, taking on Aaron Hotwater Fawcett, coming out from Las Vegas to defend his light welterweight title. So get your tickets at FightersRep.com or join the YouTube channel to watch the fights there live. So it looks like, Navarrete is taking on Oscar Valdez. And the winner of that, I think it would be a good fight for Oshaquie. I really do. I think Navarrete would be a bit trickier. He's the longer guy and he's super active. And it would be interesting to see, how Oshaquie deals with a guy like that. I mean, but apparently he doesn't have enough power to hurt you. So, I mean, it would be an interesting fight. I think Valdez is pretty good too. I think that would be, that'd be a pretty fun fight too. But I think Navarrete would be a better stylistic matchup, if I'm being honest.
Well, I agree with you. They're good fights. And I think Navarrete will be the tougher opponent. I think Navarrete would be the tougher opponent for Oshaquie style. Yeah. I think Valdez feeds into Oshaquie style a little bit better. That he can. So for Oshaquie, you will want Valdez.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, I think he still could contend with Navarrete if he's going to have to have a lot of movement because Navarrete's coming forward. Navarrete's coming reckless. And he's trying to make this a dirty fight. So I think for Oshaquie, you will want Valdez to win. But if not, I still think it'll be a good fight between. Well, I think it's a better fight between Oshaquie and Navarrete.
Yeah.
So,
couldn't agree more. So, I think we've spoken at length about that fight, and I would like us now to move on to a fight that's coming up, Gary. Saturday, November 9th. That's this weekend. We get to see him again, man. He's a phenomenal fighter. It's Jaron Boots Ennis. I want to say he's definitely a favorite on the channel. Taking on Karan Chukhadzhian. And Ennis is going to be defending his IBF welterweight title against the Ukrainian in Chukhadzhian. And they fought before, Gary. I didn't think, to be honest, it was really a close fight. I think where Chukhadzhian gets credit for the first fight is he survived and he basically just ran around the entire time because he has fantastic footwork. But
cardio too.
His cardio, yeah, he's a beast. I mean, if I were to open up a cardio kickboxing or boxing gym, I would hire the shit out of Chukhadzhian. But as far as being able to beat a Jaron Ennis, I don't think he's the guy. But nonetheless, we get to see Boots Ennis, I guess, sort of correct what happened in the first fight. We get to see if maybe he can corner this guy and get him out of there. I mean, I really don't understand the logic behind making this fight other than, hey, Jaron didn't look fantastic against him the first time. Let's see if we can get him out of there. And I want to touch on one more thing, Gary. On the co-main event, right, we have Jesse Bam Rodriguez fighting. So I think,
Batman.
yeah, so these are two of the baddest dudes from the U.S. We're definitely going to be tuning in and checking them out. But what are your thoughts on this Ennis Chukhadzhian fight, Gary? It's
I
not floating my boat, brother.
It's not floating my boat either. As a big, huge Jaron Ennis fan, I fucking hate that he has to fight this guy again.
Yeah.
But like when you say you don't understand the logic, ask the IBF. Is it IBF that ordered it, or I think it's the IBF. IBF
Maybe.
ordered it, and even the promoter for Matchroom, Eddie Hearns,
Yeah.
he was like, "Why do we have to fight this? Fight? We already beat him. It wasn't close."
Yeah.
And they're making with their rules, they're making us have to fight him again. And
Yeah. You there, Gary? All right, guys. So it looks like I've lost Gary for a second here. Oh, and he's
hold
back.
on.
He's back.
Okay,
Can you
I'm
hear me,
back.
Gary?
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we lost you for
Okay.
a second. Okay, so go ahead. Complete your thoughts there. Gary, you there?
You got me?
Yeah, you're having a hard time over there, Gary. You
No,
good?
I already know what what would happen.
Is someone
Somebody
playing
hit the
Madden? Are they playing Madden?
no. What they do is they hit the plug. Sometimes they take out the plug or hit the plug, and they
Oh,
cut
I
my internet off. My
see.
kids.
Well, I'm sure
Because
you'll
I
be
seen the internet bars go away, and I'm like, somebody touched the internet.
I'm sure you'll be administering discipline after this. But
But no, what I was gonna say is,
yeah.
you know, I don't. It was no reason for this fight. The first fight, I think he watched every round on all judges' scorecards. He won every round. So
Yeah.
I don't really know. Only thing is, and people, this is a knock on him. People were saying Karen hit him sometimes, and Karen, he couldn't corner Karen off and things. So I mean, I guess he gets to correct or wrong. I don't know how it's wrong when you win every round,
Yeah.
but you know, you get to. I seen him working out, him working out. And it looks
Yeah.
like he's going to attack the body more. He's going to try to attack the body to slow him down. That's
Yeah.
my guess off the top of my head. He's going to attack the body, try to give him different angles when he tries to cut him off. I think he's been working on cutting off the ring. And I think he's like, fuck it. If I got to fight this fight, at least I can correct my wrong and knock this guy out. And I don't know if Karen. Now, what'll be interesting is if Karen, and you called him something different, but everybody's been calling him Karen.
Karen.
Yeah, Karen. Everybody been saying Karen. Everybody I see talk.
Yeah.
Been saying
Why?
Karen.
You know why? Can I let you in on a
Go ahead.
funny little story here? So I should have known better, right? I should have known better because even though I'm an Arab American, I do have a sliver of Armenian in me, right?
Yeah.
Because interesting fact, Gary, a lot of the Arab countries, and we get a bad rap, but a lot of the Arab countries took in a lot of refugees and people from other countries throughout history. And one of the groups of people that they took in a lot of were the Armenians, right? And Chukhadzhian, he's Armenian. I can tell because typically their last names end in a YAN or an IAN. That's kind of like a cultural or national thing that they do. So, so I had met Karan Darabedian, who was a very popular MMA fighter, and he owns KD MMA here. And I think he fought for Bellator, and he's a very high level guy, and he's actually coaching alongside Roma Kalantarian, whose guy we were just talking about, Bagram. He's the one that just beat Tim Tszyu, right?
Yeah.
I called him Karen, but it's actually Karin in Armenian. And every time I called him Karen, he'd be like, Karin. And I was like, Karen. I was like, don't whip my ass, man. Karin, you're right. So I learned from there. Don't learn the way I learned, Gary.
Hey, you know what's funny? Is I don't know if you remember him from school. I have a friend. His name is and see, I'm still worried about pronouncing it right, but Charmaine. And he says, and everybody goes Charmaine. He says, no, Charmaine is a girl's name. My name is Charmaine. And you know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
okay.
I'm
Okay.
like, I'm like, well, I don't know. These are black names. So if you're not, but he's always say that. He would correct everybody. Charmaine is a
Yeah.
girl name. My name is
Yeah.
Charmaine.
I
Something like
like it.
that.
I like it. I
And
like
I'm
it.
like,
But
all right,
yeah,
whatever, bro. Whatever makes you feel better,
Karin.
bro.
So Karin Chukhadzhian, Gary. Let's not get our
Okay,
asses.
Karin. Okay, let's go, Karin, right? Yeah. So,
Sugar time? Is it sugar time?
yeah, sugar lip time.
Okay.
So Karin, well, let me get the sugar first because it's gonna interrupt. Go ahead. She's
Oh
on.
yeah. What a
She
run.
ain't got a uniform on today. She's in light duty,
Let's
looking all
go. Let's
good and
go.
stuff. You
Easy
know,
access.
I hope not.
The
but
show end right here. Shit. No, it's just joking.
Karin, with Karin, what'll be interesting to see is he normally doesn't move around that much in his fights. He did that with Boots, but that's not how he normally fights.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if he's gonna go back to, hey, I'm gonna go at this guy and see if he can handle what I got, or or if he still tries to get on his bike and do that again, which to me, I don't. That's insanity because that didn't work the first time.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it didn't work. You literally lost every round. So
Yeah.
I would like to see if he switches it up and says, I'm gonna stand my ground a little bit more and fight this guy.
Yeah.
And so that's the interesting part. Now, the bigger part for me is that if Drum Boots wins this fight, it's talks of him going up to 154 fighting another crazy name, the guy who just lost to Terrence Crawford at 154.
Oh, Madrimov, Israel Madrimov.
Yeah. So you know all these names. I'm gonna let you handle that. But yeah, Madrimov. That's who it is. So he they say Madrimov is actually going to be at the fight.
Oh,
So it's a real possibility that if he wins this fight, he goes to the 154 and
yeah.
fights Madrimov. Now they're saying Mario Barrio is still in play, but he tried to do with Norman and he couldn't get the fight with Norman. I think he tried to get a fight with Conor Ben. I'm not sure how that went, but I know what Norman wanted somewhere close to 2 million. So he can bring home at least $1 million, and they weren't willing to do that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if he does win this fight and he goes up to fight Madrimov, that's almost kind of like helping him maybe get the Terrence Crawford fight, especially if he performs really good in that fight.
Yeah.
He knocks the guy out or whatever, or he stops the guy, or he looks better than what Terrence Crawford looks, is going to be more of a clamor for people to, want to see that fight.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think they're gonna fight. Maybe I'm wrong. I think Crawford's too far along. I think Crawford's looking for that big paycheck one more time, that big money fight. Then he's gonna ride off into the sunset. That's why I feel about Crawford. I think he's too far along to take this big of a risk. You know what I mean? Canelo's not gonna do it, and so Terrence Crawford doesn't have to do it either, right? So I think that's the way it is.
I don't think Terrence wants to do it, and I don't think Terrence is going to do it. But my point is, I think Terrence. I think if Bud goes in there, not Bud. I said if Boots goes in there and stops the guy or really dominates the guy,
Madrimov.
yeah, Madrimov. If Boots goes in there and after this fight, Karen, I don't want to look over that fight, but most of us think that he's just going to beat the guy again. Yeah. But Madrimov, if he goes in there and he either knocks out Madrimov or just dominates him a lot better than what Terrence Crawford doing, I think it will put pressure on Terrence Crawford because look, I fought Madrimov and dogged him on. whatever, and then you fought Avanesian. That's how you say his
Yeah.
name?
Yeah. Yeah.
Avanesian. And I beat him. I stopped him a round earlier than you did. So, the pressure mounts up, and it's kind of like I still think Terence Crawford doesn't take it right away, but it's applying more pressure to, look, I'm fighting these guys you fought, and I'm doing
Yeah.
better. I'm stopping them or beating them up.
I get it. I get it. I just don't think it happens. I stay on that. It sounds like you don't think it happens either, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Interesting part about this card, though, as I mentioned, Bam is going to be fighting on this card too. He's taking on a guy by the name of Guevara. I don't know who Guevara is.
Me
I
either.
don't know much about him, but I'm excited to see Bam because, even though he's pretty popular on the West Coast, I think the purpose of bringing him over to the East Coast is, people see he's got skills. I think maybe they want to, show him off in the rest of the country, especially in the Northeast. Maybe get some of the Hispanic fans out to come out and watch. So I think it's a well put together, intelligently put together card. Having American fighters, having American maybe fighters of Hispanic descent as well, and then you've also, besides the fact that the fights happen at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Gary.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's where Boots fought last time, I believe, and he's building a buzz there, right, in Philadelphia, a city where they hadn't had a big boxing event in a really long time before that. And Eddie Hearn, very smart. He's also put Khalil Coe on the undercard, who's from New Jersey, and Raymond Ford. He's put them both from New Jersey, on the undercard. So a lot of like Northeastern, names there. And I think, you're going to see a pretty big show, especially because, even though he's not fighting like a big name, is Boots, I think people just want to see him, man. I think people are just excited to see him fight because he's so dynamic. You know what I mean? He's amazing to
I
watch.
think the most fucked up part about Boots' career is that it's going in the Terence Crawford direction where you only get to see the guy fight once a year or something like that.
Yeah.
And it fucking sucks because, like you said, people want to see him. He's so dynamic. He's so entertaining. He gives you the fights. It's gonna end in a knockout or somebody getting beat the hell up. You know what I mean?
Well, Gary,
And
but he did fight. Luckily, he did fight in July, and here
yeah,
we are in November, 4 months apart. So I mean, if we can maintain this rate, it's 3 fights a year, which is great if we can maintain that rate, right?
well,
So I
no,
guess
right now since he signed with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn is trying to keep him active, but one of his big things was the reason why he signed with Eddie Hearn is he wanted to be more active. Fighting one time a year was just not. That's why he said the last fight Avanesian. They were saying he got hit with some shots. He was saying he was kind of rusty because he was like he hadn't fought in a while, and so it's that. And then speaking of Bam, I know Bam and the Ennis family are connected. They came up together and they know him. So that was a smart move putting Bam on there because they know him. And I also think that Khalil trains with them sometimes. So I think these are people that he works with also that he put on the card. I don't know about Ford.
Yeah.
Even though that's a good card because Ford is a good fighter. Khalil is an up and coming fighter. Bam is probably like a generational talent. He's gonna be headlining. He has to move up to get the bigger fights, but he's gonna be a headliner soon.
Yeah, that dude's a stud, man. I can't wait
Yeah,
to
man,
watch
he's
him
crazy.
fight too. He's really good too. I've seen him do some beautiful things in the ring. Sort of like we've seen Jaron Ennis do some really beautiful things in the ring. And like you said, he's a little bit of a smaller guy, so he's probably not going to get the same buzz right off the bat. But who knows, man? Maybe with some time, I mean, look what the Monster's done down there. We've kind of seen what Tank Davis has done, even though he's not that small. So maybe Bam will be one of those breakout guys in those smaller divisions. So that fight, these fights are going down this Saturday, Gary. What are your predictions? Let's hear the predictions for the knuckleheads.
I think Boots stops him this time. I think Karen is gonna not move as much just because it wasn't as successful strategy the last time. I
Yeah.
think Karen is going to try to sit down and fight with him a little bit more, which is going to end up him getting either knocked out or just stopped.
And maybe he'll be
Um,
more. Maybe he'll be more willing to put it on the line since now Boots has a title, right? I mean, maybe he's like, let me go for broke here.
I think he
Maybe.
felt the power, and I felt like they already had a plan. Like, let's not go toe to toe with this guy. Let's see if this
Yeah.
guy can really has other things to do or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe he does the same strategy. I mean, that's insanity to do the same strategy.
No.
But and or maybe he's hoping Boots is too gun ho to try to get him out of there, and he catches him with something. Who
Mhm.
knows? But I got Boots stopping him. I would say because Karen has great endurance. He's a tough guy. Maybe like in the later rounds, like 8-9, 8-9. Like he
Yeah.
breaks him down. I'll give him 9
I'll
because
say, I'll say
what's
9
his
too.
name?
I agree. I agree. I'll say ninth round stoppage.
Yeah,
I got
ninth,
Boots.
ninth. I think he breaks him down 9th round. I'll give him 9th round.
Mhm.
Um, I don't really know the guy that Bam's fighting, so I'm gonna ride with Bam.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I
You
think
know,
Bam gets a stoppage too. I think you get 2 stoppages on the night from the
yeah,
co-main event to the main event for sure.
yeah.
But,
What do you think?
yeah. Yeah, no, same thing. I said round
9th
9
round?
for yeah, I was thinking between 7 and 9, and I said, "You know what? Let me go with 9 because, like you said, this guy has endurance.
He's
He
tough.
seems he seems pretty durable. So I'll go with 9, and then with Bam, I don't know. I think Bam might maybe middle rounds get that guy out of there. I mean, I don't know much about him either, but the kid's just on a different level, I think, from everybody else in the division. So he's kind of like a Boots, for me. So I think they both get it done. The difference being that the opponent for Boots is a little bit more seasoned, I think,
Yeah,
than the opponents for Bam. So that's the only reason I think Bam will get him out of there. Maybe it may be quicker, maybe,
yeah, yeah.
but Boots is the man. I think he gets him out of there in the 9th round. I agree with you, Gary. 9. I don't know something about the number 9. I'm feeling right now. So
Wow, we agreed. I think this
yeah,
make good
man.
content.
Damn,
This
man.
don't make good content with us agreeing.
Break open the champagne, man. But anyway, Knuckleheads, that's pretty much all we have for you guys this evening. Be sure to get your Fighters Rep merchandise in the link below. But more importantly, get your tickets to Fighters Rep 27 at FightersRep.com or join the YouTube channel to help us continue to grow this channel, to grow this platform, and to continue to build an incredible base for young kickboxers to come through and become the best fighters in the world. Don't miss out. Fighters Rep 27, Commerce Casino, November 23rd. Gary, anything else you want to say to
I'm
your
good.
loving public and adoring public before we let them go?
I'm good, man. I'm good.